Hey everybody, it's Elizabeth from Silvernest Homeschooling Mom of Four, and I have been taking you through my bookshelf where I hold things in between what we're using, what we might use in the future, and just having space for my kids to have access to things. But I also have a secret homeschool shelf that I keep behind this door. It's kind of like a closet bookshelf, some toys on the bottom, and I thought, since we just finished going through all the 12 cubbies on the main bookshelf that the kids have access to all the time, I would take you through these as well and give you a better idea of the things that we've kept after homeschooling for 12 years and finishing up. We got still in the process of homeschooling, mostly middle school, high school now, and so some of these are being kept for the future. And then of course the kids always have access to anything that they want. I'm just going to again do it just like I did the other one. I'm just going to go through one shelf at a time. And so for simplicity's sake, I'm going to go ahead and start on the bottom. So I studied theater in school. So these are my college textbooks that I end up keeping. So we have Audition. This is a great basic book, but probably out of date now, but still had some information and stuff that I like to keep. Also, What Jane Austen Knew, and ate and Charles Dickens Knew. This was from my Victorian Lit class, and I really enjoyed this book. Just a lot of history about Victorian times. My Vic Lit class was absolutely one of my favorites. We also read The Empty Space in college, which is another theater book. I really still go back to this concept of deadly theater, which is like a copy of a copy of a copy rather than something fresh and new. Making something real for the first time. Uta Hagen's Respect for Acting. I have used some of these ideas as well when I'm teaching theater to my kids or to the summer camps I've done. Practical Handbook for the Actor. This is a great basic, just takes you through a lot of the, it's really old cover, of course, again from 30 something years ago, but the reality is it has some really great theater stuff in it still on how to be an actor. I also have the French version of Entendant Godot, or Waiting for Godot. My kids that have studied French also love theater, and so sometimes I'll keep these around in case they want to read them in their later on years of French. We also have Cyrano de Bergerac in French, as well as Rostand and Koons and Church. We love Cyrano. Maybe it is in English. Nope, it's in French. And great play, and always fun to go back and read it in the original. And this one is French short stories, which I have used with my oldest. Any of these that have a little tag on the top, my older child used when she was studying French. And now I have a second child going through. We have The Woman, which is a play. A lot of plays when you act come in little booklets like this. Midsummer's Night's Dream, which we have done parts of with the kids. The Crucible, which we read in college. Another good play if you're looking for high school plays to read. Mary Frances sewing book. So my one daughter went through this whole series with the Mary Frances books, and so I ended up overkill and bought way too many books. Whoops. So this is definitely one I'm going to be finding a home for that we probably won't keep. But I love these books from the 1900s, and she seemed really excited at the time, so I went out and bought a whole bunch of them. I've already given some away, but that one we've still kept. This is Essentials in Writing, Disc 7 for Level 7. They don't run by grade, but we actually do usually use for grade, so I kept this. I probably should give this away, just in case my 7th grader this year decided that she didn't want to do her English class, but she has. She really liked it, but next year she is going to come and do Essentials in Writing with me at home for level 8, so I won't need this anymore. So yay for decluttering during videos. This one is another one that I probably should declutter. It's a great book for prompts for ages 8 through 12. We might use it next year for 8th grade, which is why it's still here. But I've had it for a couple of the kids, and they just always have their own ideas. They haven't needed much of a prompt book, but they're a wonderful way to get a reluctant writer to write. And I have given this book away and had other people really, really enjoy it for their kids. But like I said, mine tend to have all their own plots. It's just getting it edited. 50 years of Mad Libs. So we do love Mad Libs, and I love Mad Libs, especially for younger ages when I'm teaching like nouns, verbs, all of those parts of sentences. It's a really fun, hilarious way to do that. And I'll put this up here. Let's see what else we got. Oh yes, The Divine Comedy of Dante, Paradiso. I thought my daughter, who loves classic everything and wants to have a understanding of literature as a writer, might be interested in this. So I found it for free. We really like the Your Story Hour. I don't know why this is outside its case, but wonderful theater, performance, and my kids truly enjoyed these. What happened, we got some from a library and then lost one or two of the discs and ended up buying them. So this is one of the discs that was not lost, but now apparently is lost because it's not in its case. Christian and some history, very inspirational, and some fiction. Kind of told by the ants. We do like the drive-through history. This is the America series. And he takes you around and teaches history with these cars. He's really funny. He doesn't hide stuff, but he is really funny. And so that combination of, he also has a whole series on like Rome and the beginning of when Christ was alive and crucified and after Christ died and came back to life again, the things that were happening in that time period. So really enjoy them. I also have a couple of these pocket style manual. This one was from one of my children's college English classes. And I kept it just in case another kid needed it. It's a lot of this information is online, but it is kind of nice sometimes to go old school and not always be on the computer or not always be online. Or sometimes you can't be online. They also read things from this book, which I don't really recommend. And it was again for college class and so required. And we kept it just in case my daughter ended up in the same class. Thankfully, so far, none of them have. So hopefully in a couple years, we'll be able to declutter it. I don't like it because I didn't really like the story choices. But that's me. I'm bossy that way. Then empty. Oh, my minor was in English. So yeah, that's why I'm picky. Empty, just in case. All right. And then we have this series of books, which came from my husband's collection when we got married. And my kids have read some of them and not other ones. So we have used this in our school, Poems of Childhood. So it has just these really great stories and illustrations and poetry. Let's see if I could open it for you. Yeah, just your basic poems and literature. Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson. I think I showed you before. I do have an illustrated kind of version, graphic novel of this. But that's the real one. The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, which I have read and assigned my children readings out of this, particularly the one that's interested in literature. The Deer Slayer, I read this in high school. I did not assign it to my kids, but it's been here as an option. One of our many versions of Robin Hood, which none of them have read this version. They had options in the name. Michael Strogoff by Jules Verne. I think my husband and I tried to start reading this one, but we never finished it. And he's read this one a lot too, The Story of King Arthur and His Knights. Howard Pyle. We have so many wonderful versions of King Arthur because it's both of our favorites. When we got married, we had a whole bunch of those. The Black Arrow, which I have read, but not this copy. Kidnapped, which I have read, but maybe this copy. I don't remember. Very interesting story. Also done the audiobook. Last of the Mohicans, linked to The Deer Slayer, James Fenimore Cooper. I have read this, but it was many, many moons ago. And The Mysterious Island. My husband and I read this out loud when we were newlyweds. It's really fascinating the way everything that you would need for progress is all available on this island. And so they basically run through all these inventions from the time they get there. Just like, we've discovered smelt, we've discovered this, we've discovered this. And so, yeah. And the final book is The Scottish Chiefs by Jane Porter, which I have started as well, but didn't finish. It's one of those things where you're reading to the kids at their age, and then when you have free time. And then some of these books are just, they're beautiful and they're really, really big. And so you kind of have to choose, right? Which books are you going to do this year? and which ones are you not. But this is on my to read list, and I think my favorite on here, memory, was reading The Mysterious Island out loud, but my favorite book is The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. I love Conan Doyle. And then second would be the story King Arthur and His Knight, just because, again, I love that storyline. And so that's what is on our hold shelf here in the corner. And I hope that was helpful, interesting. Again, you don't need all these books to homeschool, and most of these books are probably available at your local library. We just happen to have a mom-in-law who owned a children's bookstore and loved to buy books for her son. And so that's why we inherited, or I inherited, he was gifted these books. And it's been fun to have them available for the kids. Have a great day, and we will talk to you soon.